So this movie, Last Voyage of the Demeter, uh, has been pretty much the only movie I've been looking forward to this year. Strangely enough, um, I just thought it looked like the most interesting thing coming out this year. Having said that, I saw it, and I'm going to talk about it. Now, I know I ask a lot of movies. You know, I go into them expecting crazy things, things that they can't deliver. So with this one, it was no exception. I went into this movie asking for a movie of people on a boat all getting killed by Dracula. I know what you're thinking. Calm down there, buddy. You can't be asking these types of things from movies. What can I say? I'm just a piece of shit. Now, I'm gonna say this movie is not bad. By no means. No. There's a lot of it that is amazing. A lot of it. But it does fall victim to some modern tropes. So the movie's basically one chapter of the novel Dracula, which it says in the beginning of the movie. I don't know why it needs to tell you that. Like, the movie does a lot of kind of hand holding. Like, they write in this girl character who's basically like, she's there because Dracula's feeding on her and he brings her along as like a road trip snack, I guess. She basically just gives exposition, explaining things to people, but not like enough explanation. But, in the book, they don't know what's happening, and that probably would have been better. I honestly think the movie would have benefited by having Renfield as well. There could have been a way to do it, but it's fine that he's not there, but the addition of her doesn't really. It's just kind of handholdy. So anyway, it's you got Davos from Game of Thrones, who I feel like you can tell if someone is a good actor based on how they were outside of Game of Thrones, because in Game of Thrones most of the cast is amazing, but then you'll see them elsewhere and they're not as good. Davos, dude, he's good. Everyone in this movie puts on a very good performance. So it's all these people on a boat doing a shipment for an unknown person of like 50 crates of dirt. In the book, basically all that happens is they find the ship, everyone's dead, or it's mostly abandoned, but there are no survivors. I thought maybe in this movie there would be no survivors. So it kind of follows this like doctor guy who he joins the crew because they don't want him, and then he saves a kid who's on the crew. I don't know if it's ever really specified who the kid is. Like, it seems like it's Davos' son, but the age just doesn't make sense, so I'm not sure, but that's what it seems like. Maybe I missed something. Anyway, the dude saves the son from a falling crate because someone sees the dragon on the crates and gets spooked and drops it. So he saves the kid, and then they're like, wow, dude, you saved that kid. You can join our crew now. And he's like, well, okay. So it kind of becomes like mostly about him. Like, he's the main character. I wanted Dracula to be the main character. I wanted there to I don't want to care about anyone. I don't care about anybody's story. I just want to see Dracula kill everybody. So he joins the crew. It's a small crew. There's a lot of kind of things that they introduce the crew, and you think that things will come back. Like, they talk about the chef. He says that if you take the Lord's name in vain, you can't eat dinner that night. And so I thought maybe somehow that would come into play, but it really doesn't. In fact, he says, "Oh God," a couple times. I don't know if, I feel like somebody who's that devout would most likely find that to be in vain. Wouldn't? I don't know. Maybe not. But he says it a couple times, and I was like, "So are you not eating?" Then the little kid is in charge of the livestock, and he's like, "Look at all the livestock," but we, the audience, all know, yes, that is food for Dracula. Yes. So Dracula does start killing people, and at this point, the plot's kind of like Alien, but at this point, it's kind of like a Hellraiser type thing, where he comes out and he's just this little scraggly, like, nah, and he's like, every time he eats someone, he gets a little bit more powerful and gets like wings and gets badass, dude. See, this Dracula design, I would be perfectly fine if the movie had been really good. I would have been perfectly fine with this replacing Dracula, like the Dracula that we all know. I'm okay with that because Dracula is just Bela Lugosi, and the Lugosi family doesn't really like to give out the rights, so it usually is just guy with pale face and slicked back black hair in like a suit. That's just Dracula. But like the actual like monster vampires, I think are so cool. I really wanted this to just kind of take over, but yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. So he starts killing people, and it's amazing. Most of the crew doesn't know what's going on, and then Doctor Guy like finds the chick stored in a crate, and he listens to her and he goes, she has an infection, she needs a blood transfusion, and so he just starts giving her blood transfusions. But hey, okay, and that kind of holds off on her dying, I guess, and she's there for exposition, and then both of them are just kind of there to solve all the issues, and the rest of the crew around them is just like, ooh. Dracula kills all the livestock, starts every night, one by one he'll take them out, and it's supposed to be like this big reveal that he's conserving them because it's a long voyage and he doesn't want to eat everyone all at once, and it's like that's cool, but it's not like a big like reveal or like a plot twist. One thing that they did that I was very happy about is Dracula kills the fuck out of the kid. He bites one dude who, that shot, he like bit the dude on the neck. He bites him all in the neck, obviously. And it's like up above, like on one of the masts or whatever. And the way you find out is it's raining, and they look at the little kid and drops of blood start landing on him. And I was like, I thought this was going to be like Silence of the Lambs or something. I was like, oh, here we go. Something good's coming. And he looks up and the guy's just laying there like kind of bloody. I was like, dude, it would have been so much cooler if he was just like massacred. But it's still badass, It's like, it's badass. It's just not quite where it should have been. So the dude, like the next day, becomes a vampire, kind of. He's like kind of like a Renfield type. He's mindless zombie he's legitimately trying to bring the kid to Dracula, which is cool. Then the kid locks himself in the captain's like quarters or office, and the dude starts like pounding his face on the door, which isn't really efficient. But anyway, his face looks cool after. I wish it had looked like that when they found him. But he's like busting through the door with his face, and then he stops because Dracula is now somehow in the room, which that's okay. He's in the room with the kid. The kid locked the door, so he's locked in there with Dracula, which is awesome. Now, the doctor guy runs up to the bashy face dude, and like he sees him standing at the door. They all have guns at this point, so he's holding a gun. And then the guy comes at him and attacks him, and he drops it, and he's like, no, stop. And then Polka Dot Man comes up, who's in like everything this year. He comes up with the gun, runs up and sees him attacking, and he goes, no, stop. So they're sitting there telling the guy to stop, and then they all look in and see Dracula with the kid, which is an awesome shot. Like through the hole in the door, them looking in and seeing Dracula coming at the kid. I think it's in the trailers. It's badass. They're all just sitting there staring, going like, oh gee, we gotta save him. And like then they like try to reach in through the hole to open the door, and then the girl they found comes up, grabs the gun, and shoots the door open. How did nobody think of that? Okay. Before they get in, you straight up see Dracula pick this little ass kid up and bite him on the neck. It's beautiful. I love things like that. By the time they get in, kid is bitten. He dropped his rosary. It's curtains. Also, somehow they're saying that the kid the blood transfusions won't work on him because he's not as strong. I don't know if that makes sense to me because there's probably less blood in him, but whatever. What's cool, really cool, is they take the dude, bashy face dude, they tie him to the mast outside and they're talking to him like, listen, piece of shit, don't be doing that. And then the sun starts coming up. And I mean, he's sitting there going, it burns, which is kind of, but the sun hits him and dude just bursts into flames. Like, he's just like, you see his beard burning. He's just like, he completely burns up, burns the mast, and it's amazing. It's so good. Again, it happened in one day, which, but it's pretty badass. Then the kid dies, and they take him to like throw him overboard basically, and they're having a little like service, and Davos is like, I see him moving, and like rips open the thing, and then the kid's eyes open and they're like white. He's vampire now, but then immediately he bursts into flames, and they're having this like nice little ceremony, like, well, nobody can think of what to say, so random chick just starts talking, and it's like, dude, who are you? So then the kid bursts into flames during this nice little ceremony, and they just yeet the dude off the ship. It's supposed to be this like sad scene, but they straight up yeet the kid. It's beautiful though. You see it, like they show him underwater burnt up, and like when he catches on fire, he grabs Davos, so Davos is all burned up now too. Badass. Now, there being so few characters in this movie, you kind of get to know them well. You only really get to know Doctor Guy and Random Chick, which I don't care. Like, they start talking about their backstories, and this movie's 2 hours long. If you took out 30 minutes entirely of their backstories, it would be so much better. I don't care about them. They should all die. But so you get to know these guys, right? And it gets to a point where they have 1 day left of their journey, so they know, like, yeah, they're all gonna die tonight. And they're already like, they're gonna lure Dracula out and then sink the ship. Logic. So they seal everything, right? Oh. Before that, they find where he sleeps, and what's really cool is like they find his cane, and his cane is like the cane from the Wolfman. It doesn't have the pentagram, but it's still like a wolf on it. I think that's a really nice touch. That's cool. That's a cool little Easter egg. But so they want to give him only one exit on the ship. So they bolt everything down. And then they're like, okay, we're going to wait for him with guns. We're going to distract him, and then we're going to sink the ship and get off on a boat. What I really like about this is they are so invested in this plan. They're like, oh yeah, dude, this is like, it's going to do something to maybe at least stop it. So the night of the plan comes, and they're all ready, and Homeboy just comes flying around the ship. And they're just like, he has wings. Beautiful. So dude is like flying around the ship. He somehow, like their little plan did absolutely nothing to him. He like goes to one of the dudes who's standing there with a gun. And this dude, he's like, we know him. He's a cool guy. He knocks him off, like the, whatever you call it, crow's nest? I don't know. He knocks him off, flies by, slices the dude open, and knocks him into the sail. And as he hits the sail, his blood splatter makes a cross. I was like, that's what I want. That's what I want this movie to be. Just a period piece with Dracula killing people. That was so good because he dies in an instant, and it's like we were with this dude the whole movie. I love that. That's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So he's like the last to die like that. You know, the religious chef guy, he got on a boat and left a while ago, and Dracula just flew over to him, killed him, and then I guess like pushed the boat back towards the ship somehow, because it just kind of comes up. But I don't know if that's how the ocean works, but okay. But it's pretty awesome. So after that guy dies, Polka Dot Man goes down to try to start sinking the ship, and Dracula just shows up and like wrecks him. Then Dracula's gone, And Doctor Guy comes and gets the axe and is like, well, I'm gonna take on Dracula. Here we go. And he like goes up to the top, and it's beautiful because he has the axe. Dracula just flies up, knocks it out of his hand. And it's like, yeah, dude, kill him. Kill the main dude. Do it. And right when he's about to, random chick shoots him in the back. So he turns around, flies over to her, wraps his wing around her face, and starts smothering her. That is beautiful. Like it's like two awesome things happened, but they keep getting interrupted by Dr. Guy and random chick. Stop it. Just let him kill him. So as he's trying to smother her, which is very inefficient but amazing, Dr. Guy comes up and hits him in the back with the axe. So then he turns around to him and he's like, okay, now you, motherfucker. And so, everyone else he's killed immediately. And it's like, it's so obvious because he like grabs the dude by the neck and picks him up and like slowly like cuts his neck with his fingers and is like, and it's like, you know that he's not going to kill him now. Like, just do it. I want it to be immediate. But he's just looking at him like, ah. And that's like one of the best things in the movie is the dude is like, I'm not afraid of you. And he just holds him up and he quotes Yoda. And he's like, you will be. I see how that's kind of like cheesy, but I think that's just amazing because the voice it's a cool voice. It's all deep and like echoey and shit. It's awesome. But then random chick like breaks the mast and it like comes down and smacks Dracula and he's like, wah! And then they jump off the ship and survive. But the random chick, she was bitten by him, so she was like already kind of doomed. So she's on the thing and she's like, well, I knew this was gonna happen, and like just lets herself kind of burst into flames, which in my mind that's not necessarily Dracula killing her. It's almost like she decided to die, so it's like it's better than nothing. But Dr. Guy starts narrating, and he's like in London looking for Dracula, and he's like, I'll hunt him down. I've seen this and this and this. And I was like, okay, maybe he'll still get killed. That would be nice. So he's tracking him down and he gets to a bar and he's sitting there trying to find Dracula, and then there was a call they would do on the ship, like a little doot doot, and then it would echo, which they explain so many times, like over and over and over. They explain this little doot 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 doot, and then it echoes through the ship. And then the first time Dr. Guy does it, he goes do do do, and it's like, dude, how many times does it have to be told to you before you understand? That's insane, because I remember it still. And they said it nonstop throughout the movie, and this dude gets it wrong. Anyway, he's sitting in the bar, and he hears the little doot, 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 and he's like, hold up. And he looks over, sees like a guy in a trench coat holding a cane sitting in a chair, and I was like, oh, dude, give us human Dracula. Because the chick had said that Dracula is a monster, like that's what he is by nature, and then he'll put on like a human form for when he has to talk to people. So I was like, ooh, can't wait to see this. And he turns around and looks at him, and it's the same ass monster, just wearing a top hat. Don't get me wrong, I love that. I think top hats are a perfect disguise. No one will know he's a vampire as long as he's wearing a top hat. That is maybe my favorite thing in the whole movie. But he turns, he looks at him, he smiles, walks past him, rubs against his fucking little cut, and leaves. And the dude's just like, oh, hell no. And so he runs out into the alley to like find Dracula, and then it's over. In my headcanon, Dracula gets him. So I guess technically there's no survivors. That's how I like to picture it. But how can anyone survive? That's you had one job, to write a story of a boat where everybody died and not everybody died. And in the beginning, they like talk about how awful the scene is on the boat, and I just really wanted it to be worse, you know? Like, it's so tame. There's also, now, this is like, I think it's the late 1800s that this takes place. A bunch of sailors on a boat. Not one person smokes a pipe. Nobody. I didn't see anybody in the movie drinking. Nobody was drinking rum. They're sailors in the late 1800s just taking cargo across the sea. Nobody drank. I think like there were 2 scenes of any smoking. Like that's try to show like boat culture, you know? It's not even like come on. So, you know, there's a lot of good things about it. The design is good. The kills are incredible. It's just like a great concept. It's such a good idea. I was really looking forward to it, and survivors and hearing about people's backstories that I don't care about. 2 hours of just okay, like you forget it's a horror movie. And I was giving it every chance I could, every chance, but I kept checking the time, not because I was bored, but just to be like, okay, there's this much time left. Don't ruin it. Don't make it bad. And it didn't get bad, but it definitely, you know, it starts here, and then it kind of goes, but then it kind of comes back to here, you know. So it's kind of, yeah. I'd say it is quite decent. Also, I'd like to add, this is perhaps the only movie where there was potential to have Dracula fight a shark. Where was that? Where's Dracula fighting a shark? Anyway, did you see it? I saw it. Let me know what you think.